Got it. Okay. So guys, you know the recording is available in case there's any nuggets you want to listen to. Again, okay. So we do the same thing every week. Mic's on, camera's on. Raise your hand just to ask questions, but do interrupt me or throw out examples that we can certainly help you address. Your ringers on your cell phone should be off. Yes, I should check mine. Isn't that awful? I come to class and I was like, with a phone on. Okay. And then if possible, close the door. All right. And then of course, I hope we're going to have some fun tonight because it's all about networking, and networking is fun. And it's the way you get to know other people, you build relationships. So I think we'll have some fun together doing that. But, you know, again, my friends, as we talk about every week, the key to make this work is to practice. And you can do it in small, small ways. Okay, small, small ways. And I'm going to ask Jacqueline to weigh in on that in a moment. But, you know, it doesn't have to be necessarily planned. You just have to be ready to converse and ask questions. And that's the point. Okay. So where are we in our course map? We're on session 3 and we're down on networking. Now, what was really interesting, guys, and I'll go back to this in a moment, but when I read through your discussion questions and activities from week 2, I had a couple of examples of networking. So, you know, I'm going to ask people to weigh in on that when we get to that point. But it was really cool how they used, you know, the cultural learning, low context and high context, but also pulled out a little piece from low and high context, and that is building relationships, which dovetails nicely with tonight. Okay, so I'll give you some examples from you guys in a little bit. All right, so, you know, what are we going to do? We're going to learn the art of networking, and it is an art, guys. It's not as easy as it sounds, and it's certainly not as easy as it seems. So you kind of have to prepare so you can do it well. Okay, not stilted, but you just have to prepare. And then you have to make sure you understand that there's a benefit to networking. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And then this elevator pitch, guys, is the short, catchy introduction that you can use to hook people in to talk to you, to get them interested in you and your background. Okay. And then the last piece, which I hope we're going to accomplish over time, not by the end of the night, is really gaining confidence in the networking process. Okay. All right. And then our outcomes, you know, we're going to make sure that you have this elevator speech. That'll be an assignment. We're going to look at what a networking process looks like. And when Carlene and I developed this, guys, what we tried to do is make it a process that, you know, if you looked at it from beginning to end and you followed these steps to get comfortable, you could actually have a very successful networking meeting. And then once you get comfortable doing it, those steps will be second nature. But we've defined it kind of as a process. And then we're going to make sure that you're aware of how all the contacts you have can help you build information for your network. Okay. All right, guys. So first discussion question. When have you networked? And how do you feel about networking? Either one or both. What are your thoughts? Have you networked? And how do you feel about it? What do you think? And again, big picture definition, it's meeting with someone to exchange information on how you can help me and how I can help you. And maybe sometimes it's just getting to know each other. So
would it have to, I'm sorry.
No,
would it have to have been in person?
Pardon me?
Would it have to have been in person, like a face-to-face interaction?
That's a great question. Tell me your story and we'll see. I'm not sure. It could be online. It should be live.
Yeah, online. Well, I don't really have that many live ones. I have a lot of interactions through like Zoom calls and stuff. I reached out to a lot of professionals on LinkedIn over the years, like people in my industry and other industries that I've been in, people with like higher up executive level position people and stuff like that, just to ask questions and a lot of information.
Excellent. So, Namir, you're perfectly on point. So, if you can use technology to do it, I think that's great. So, what? Give me an example. Give us an example of a question that you would ask, and why you would want to know it.
Okay, I'll give you a perfect one. So somebody I spoke to before used to be one of the assistant athletic directors at I believe Temple or somewhere in this area, and she
Mhm.
moved on to CHOP. She was working in major gifts, so
Okay.
basically like fundraising stuff of that nature. But when she was still on the sports side, I just was asking her basically what she did to really get into the door. Because and in a lot of instances, it's a really a difficult industry to really get into, really get your foot in the door. You really need to know the right people and have the right conversation. So I really started there. She also helped me with my resume, stuff like that. If there were any other things that she could do in her power to help me, she was all for it. So it was a couple conversations a while
Excellent.
ago.
Namir, spot on. That's exactly right. And notice Namir didn't say, since you're leaving, can I interview for your job?
I wouldn't have got it anyway. She was too high up.
Namir, let's pretend, Juju. All right. You're never asking for a job. You're going to follow Namir. Okay. And that is, I'd love to break into college sports, in some way. How did you get your job? Yes. Information. Perfect. And then, Namir, I got to believe that since she offered to help in different ways, you were starting to develop a relationship through conversations with her, right?
Yeah, I mean, one time I sent my resume to her. She critiqued it, sent it back with all everything she thought about where I should improve at and the information I needed to add. So that was one conversation, and then we had another conversation as far as one of the organizations that she was with a long time ago when she first got in her foot in the door, and I kind of had similar conversations with a different organization. Around that time, this was more like 2020, early pandemic, things of that nature. So.
Perfect. So notice the information that starts to flow. Once you connect with me, I want to help you. And I might even say, so Namir, what else can I do to help you? And say, well, maybe I could use a resume critique. Would you be willing to take a look at it for me? And, sure. But, I'm not going to do that unless he starts to build this relationship, which he has done. So, Namir, that was an awesome example. Thank you so much. Well done. Anybody else? And Namir, last question for you. How comfortable were you in this networking process? Because you've done it frequently, but how comfortable were you in the process?
By the time I got to her, I was fine, but I probably tried 30 to 50 times before that, talking to a lot of different people. So
Yep.
it really was a process, like learning what to say to these type of people, and they don't really have to respond. A lot of people did not respond, but
Yes.
it was just a good thing for them to take the time out to talk to me. I got a lot of people on the phone during those points in times, a lot of Zoom calls and stuff like that, and I learned a lot of things. And I actually did I took part in an online like workshop for one organization before through reaching out to somebody on LinkedIn. So
Thank God we're recording this. This is excellent, excellent advice. So we'll keep moving and we'll find out how you struggle when you start making those calls and how you get comfortable. So Namir, I hate to go back to the Namir well of knowledge, but maybe you can start sharing those nuggets as we go forward. All right, good job. So at least we have an example about how networking works. Okay, so let's look at the overview. So my friends, as I mentioned to you, all right, this is all about personal relationships. I'm not talking about best friends. I'm talking about relationships so that others will want to help you. Okay. That others want to have you as part of their group, that others want to open doors for you, as Namir said. So it's all about the relationships and how you build them. And the more you build, the better they are, the more people want to help you. Okay. Even if it's years later, and I'll share a story with you later on. All right. So what's the purpose? All right. Because I think it's kind of important that when we're networking, that we're very clear on the purpose. All right. It's the first one, exchange information and ideas. So what do you know? This is what I know. Oh, I never thought about that. So it's exchanging information and ideas. All right. And the second one, and Namir kind of alluded to this one, to build personal and professional contacts. So for example, if Carly and I are networking and, I'm getting to know her a little bit, I'm going to say, all right, so now I'm on her contact list. And then I'm going to say, hey, Carly, you know who you should talk to? And I give her a referral from my contacts. And it might be, it might be better suited to the nonprofit world. It might be someone who is really in the nonprofit circles. It might be someone who can help her get out of the nonprofit. But I know that's not the case, Carla, but let's pretend. But it's really important, guys, that, when you're listening and someone is networking with you, what are they trying to do? And then you can offer those professional contacts, and you only offer them if they have made an attempt to build a relationship with you. Because remember, your contacts are sacred. And, you don't want Joe Schmo talking to them if they can't come across professionally and they're prepared for a conversation. So, you've got to make sure that you make a great impression so others will want to help you, especially in sharing contacts, right? And also, again, Namir has given us a great example to build knowledge. So how do you get into college athletics? What's the, career path? Who do you need to know? What do they look for? So, if you want to make a career change, as an example, that's the kind of knowledge you're looking at versus, well, look for the job openings on LinkedIn and just apply. Useless. That is impersonal and does nobody any good. So when you're networking, my friends, you're really looking for the inside scoop, and it might even be that you're networking and someone's going to say, hey, I know that X department is going to be posting a job next week. Here's who you probably want to call. Tell them I referred you, but don't talk about the job. So, Jacqueline, I can see, you want to stay within, that government arena. And I know there's a whole process of posting and et cetera that you need to follow. But gosh, if, somebody gave you a heads up, at least you're first on the list, So that's when you are a trusted advisor and when others can trust you, then you get this inside information that will be invaluable going forward for pick a reason. Okay. All right, let's move on. All right. So the comfort is usually the issue. And, it was so funny because I said to Carlene tonight, I said, for as often as I network, it is not comfortable. I mean, to walk into a room of strangers. It's horrendous. Okay. And yet, every 14 weeks in Harrisburg, where I teach, I have 30 new faces. And that doesn't bother me. But put me in a room with 30 people I don't know, and I'm like, oh my God. So the object of the game here, my friends, is to get comfortable. All right. And the first one is to change your attitude. And all right, so I'm going to throw out the negatives. You guys respond. So, wow, who would want to talk to me? What would I need to change it to be? This is going to be so hard. Who wants to talk to me? What should you think instead? All right, I'll get you started. You have to jump in.
Are you speaking on like our point of view as far as looking for somebody to network with?
Yep. You walk into a room of 30 people you don't know. And the first thing you think about is, oh my God, nobody's going to want to talk to me. What's the opposite message you should be telling yourself?
I know I could find somebody in here I can relate to.
Yes. Yes. Any other one? Yes. Good one.
I have valuable skills.
I have valuable skills. Or, go real basic. I'm a nice person. They would want to meet me. Okay. So it starts with here. And then whatever you think here is going to come out here. All right. So when you go in, like if you attend a networking event, you should always know why you're there. Okay. What do you hope to learn? Who do you hope to meet? I mean, why bother? So when I would go to networking events, I had 2 goals. And they were the same 2 goals, guys. Number 1, it's to learn something new. And number 2 is to meet someone new. And I only had to meet one person, and I had to learn one new thing. And so I knew why I was there versus, oh, let's make friends. No. Okay. I just wanted to meet one new person that would be a good contact. And the other one is to learn something new. And sometimes I got 50%, but most of the time I got both. So when you hit these networking opportunities, you got to think, why am I here? What do I hope to do? All right. And the third one, is be prepared to participate. So if you walk in, grab a drink and stand in the corner, that is not participating. Okay. So what do you think participating in a networking event looks like? And again, we're going to go to use Namir's example. It could be online or in person. So what does participation look like, do you think?
Talk to people.
Sorry?
You're probably going to have to talk to people.
Carly, as obvious as that is, that's right. Okay. You're going to have to talk to people. What else do you think you'd have to do to participate? And I know these are silly little things, but necessary little things.
You have to look engaged and approachable.
Yes. How would I do that, Jacqueline? Because you're absolutely right.
You can start with a smile, and you can not cross your arms like you're not happy to be there,
Yes.
but just be inviting, open.
Yes. Yes. Okay. And again, we're not looking at anything that's rocket science, but stand there looking at your shoes with your arms crossed. That says, don't bother me. Kid you not. Okay. All right, good.
Or Marion, your phone. If you
Fine.
stood there with your phone in front of you too,
Oh.
you're prepared to participate.
Put that phone away. Okay. Yes, that's anything that's going to happen in the next hour while you're at that networking meeting, you can follow up with later. Okay. This is not important when you're networking. Not awful. I'm not sure what she means. All right. Put them away. And, I know it's like a pacifier for us. It's in our hand. It's kind of like a security blanket. Put it away because this says I'm not open either. Okay. I kind of want to talk to you, but maybe not. Okay. Look for opportunities. We're going to talk about that a little later. And the key, and Namir has already advised us accordingly. The key is practice, practice, practice. So after every networking meeting, you should ask yourself, how did I do? I wasn't bad. I was kind of a little more comfortable. What do I need to do differently the next time? Excellent. So you always have to keep evaluating how you're building your skills. And over time, this gets easier and practice makes perfect. And you'll be like networking kings and queens. Kid you not. Okay. Questions on this, guys? This is kind of the basic stuff. All right. So, what do you think, which is the most important thing you need to change to be successful in networking? It revolves around this. What one do you need to change to be successful at networking? No wrong answer. I'm just asking.
For me, well, not now, but back then it was to learn to take the initiative. That was something I never used to do.
Yeah. So that's kind of it, that's preparing to participate. Sometimes you have to make the approach because, you're one of 30 people in the room. Well, there's 29 others in your boat. Like, should I go first? Maybe they'll come over to me. Do I have to talk to anybody? Oh, I hope not. Like everybody's going through this, mental destructive mental message. So yes, approach, talk. Good. What other one do you think you might have to work on to, really say, I gotta do this. I just gotta be ready. Which one of these 5? Any other one?
Hmm.
No? All right, we'll come back. But all of these 5 are necessary to develop comfort. You can't go, okay, I get it. You got to do all 5. Okay, all right. So let's talk about the elevator speech. So that's the backstory. This is all what you need to do up here. So the elevator speech is a creative, not ridiculous, but creative way to introduce yourself, to capture others' attention. So answer yes, A, yes, or B, no. I have prepared an elevator speech. In your phone, type A and press enter, or B and press enter. And let's see where we land. Don't I have 5 online? Thank you. Okay, so I've got 2 that prepared and 3 have not. Okay, so, and this is anonymous, guys, so please weigh in. What's the benefit of preparing an elevator speech, do you think? And again, for those of you who said yes, you can respond, or anyone can respond. So what's the benefit of preparing this elevator speech, which is short, by the way? Any thoughts?
You know what you're gonna say. You plan it out so you don't end up messing up when the time comes to use it and stuff like that.
Yeah, good. And so as crazy as that sounds, because, well, I know myself, I don't have to prepare. Sure you do. Okay, because you want it to come out well. And you want it to come out in a way, and we're going to do it, that comes out in a way that people understand that versus, oh, and then they walk away because they have no idea what you said. All right, so it has to be creative but understandable. It has to be catchy but not cliche. It has to be interesting to invite conversation. Okay, all right. And so some of you have said no. So what's the downside of not preparing an elevator speech? What's the downside, guys?
A lot of stumbling.
Yes, Carly, good, stumbling. And what are you stumbling about?
Word choice and what you're explaining, and
Yes.
what you're kind of reading the person, like, what are they interested in? What should I keep talking about?
Yes. And you're stumbling about you. So, if you're going to have confidence, if you're going to come across like people should, people are going to want to talk to me because I'm a nice person, you have to have some confidence in what you say so people can get it. Okay, excellent. Good job, guys. All right. So let's talk about the elevator speech because it's really, and this is only one part of networking. All right. It responds to 2 questions. Okay. What do you do? And tell me about yourself. The 2, in my mind, hardest questions there is to answer. Okay. Especially tell me about yourself. And it's like, all right, do I start at the beginning of time? Do I tell them what I want to do in the future? What do I say? So that tell me about yourself, guys, can really throw a curveball because you need to know how to start it to captivate people's attention. So guys, let me ask you this. When people say, what do you do? Tell me about yourself. How do you answer them? No wrong answers. This is learning together, guys. How do you answer that question? Melissa, you're not on my screen because I only get to see 6 images, but how do you answer that, my friend? Because you're in law school. So how do you answer that?
So what do I do?
Or tell me about yourself, either one.
So Usually I'll just say what my year is at school because I'm talking to other attorneys and things
Okay.
like that. So usually I'll say my name's Melissa Bond. I'm a 2L at North Carolina Central University School of Law. I'm currently working at an externship and I work in personal injury litigation and workers' comp. That's what I'm interested in doing. Really passionate about that. And then usually if they'll ask more about why I'm passionate about it, I'll go into it, but just kind of let them know that's where I want to go in my career and leave it at that.
You go, Melissa. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Now, if you were in a networking meeting with us, so this is a mixed group, no attorneys except for you, how would you tell me about yourself?
I would say that I'm currently in law school, but my background is in mental health. So I ended up making the switch because I saw a lot of things that I didn't necessarily like in the laws that I wanted to change. But I come from a background of wanting to help people, and I found a different outlet to want to help those people.
Okay, my friends. There are 6 of us, excluding Melissa online. Who wants to talk to her?
Oh, thank you. That's good.
Okay. Why do you guys want to talk to her? Because it doesn't matter. Carlene and I want to talk to her. Doesn't matter what we think. Why do you want to talk to her? What did she say in the second tell me about yourself that you were like, really?
She in law school. I don't know nobody else in law school. I want to know with everything going on there.
Yeah. Why she applied. Good. Carly, how about you? Why would you want to talk to her?
I mean, she indicated a pretty big jump from one career to another for a really passionate reason, and that's pretty intriguing.
Yes. Good. Jacqueline, what do you think? What would you like to ask Melissa?
Like Carly, I wanted to know more about why she changed professions.
Yes. Yes. Where are you? PJ, you're off my screen, but I know you're there. What would you like to ask? There's always a drawback, with these online technologies. What would you like to ask?
I would definitely have a conversation with her about her experience with like mental health, working in mental health, because she doesn't strike as the traditional law school student who left undergrad and went to law school. She has some work experience. So right there's a lot to unpack and a lot to discuss as far as the transition, seeing the things she did not like within her first career and how she want to tie that into her next career.
And that's the power of networking. That's the power of networking. So, Melissa, there are 6 people here who want to know the rest of Melissa. Okay. And everybody wanted to know something different. Okay. And everybody would ask you different information, but the first one was so law appropriate. Okay. But the second one was intriguing. And exactly for what PJ said, that career change, it's the non-traditional path to law school. Well, I think that's me. I think I want to do something different. Why'd you decide to go back to school after working? So I want to talk to you about that. So there's a lot of great things in what she said that any one of us could talk to her about, whether we understand law or not. That was an excellent. Tell me about yourself. Good job. So we want to use that, Melissa. That was a good one. Okay. So Melissa, I'm going to guess, since that came across so easily, that you've used that before. Is that correct? The second one.
Yeah, I've had to introduce myself a lot, I feel like.
That's a good thing, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it is. I'm a good person. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, and Melissa, just stay with me one more question. So when you started this, I'm going to say mixed. Tell me about your self-introduction. How'd you get it so good? Did you have to refine it? Did you practice? How did you get it to come out as good as you did today?
I think I'm a pretty introspective person, so I have a lot of conversation with myself and just try to know myself the best I can. But I like talking to people. I'd say I'm pretty outgoing, so it just kind of comes naturally to me, but I also hate talking about myself. So, um, I don't know. I don't ever want to sound rehearsed either. So I just like engaging with people and getting to know people.
Right, so her mindset is really good, and she's comfortable with who she is and what she has done. It is going forward to do. And so a lot of that has to do with it. But if you are not as comfortable as Melissa, you've got to write it down and prepare. And then you got to get your body and say, okay, go ahead, ask me. Tell me about yourself. And then I want you to say it, because the first time I did that, I was like, well, that sounds so stupid. Who wants to talk to me? And I was right. It was ridiculous. So I tried it again. And, so this practice thing, guys, really helps you get the words down right. And Melissa is right. It's not going to be rehearsed, because you're not going to read the script, but you got to remember the flow. You got to pick the right words. You got to get feedback from your buddy that you're practicing with, because, if they're going, oh, cool. That's what you're going to get when you network. And that's not what you want. You need people to talk to. Well, Melissa, thank you for helping us out with this little activity. That was very good. Love it. Well
Thanks
done.
for everybody for wanting to talk to me. I appreciate that.
Good. All right. So here's the elevator speech tips. Okay. Now, these, my friends, are kind of that process that we're talking about, putting together. And if you look at these, you're really looking at how to talk about yourselves in different ways. Okay. So, for example, you always want to make sure that you know your purpose. Like, why are you here? Why are you at this event? Why are you at this meeting? And it shouldn't be, well, it's a new organization. I wanted to see what they were all about. Useless. Okay. You have to tie yourself to the organization. Well, I'm new to the world of training and development, and I've never participated with this organization. I'd like to see how we could work together, how I could learn from them, how I could meet interesting people, whatever you want to say. But you've got to know your purpose, all right? And then the other thing is, even if it doesn't come out in the elevator speech, you have to know what you could do for others. Now, the cool thing about Melissa's is that, the cliche is, I want to help people. Okay. And if she left it like that, there are 7 of us here that could say the exact same thing. All right. So what makes the 7 of us different from I want to help people? Okay. But Melissa said, I've always been in a profession where I could help people. And when I was in mental health, I saw how the laws interfered, how didn't support mental health. I'm paraphrasing Melissa. Interfered or didn't support mental health. So now that I'm into law, I want to see what I could do to change those laws to help people who need mental health intervention in a better way. And so now it ties Melissa, that was a total paraphrase, but you said that much more eloquently than I did. But you've given the purpose to, I want to help people. Okay. And Melissa was a great example of I've always been interested in helping people, and I'm just going to do it in a different way. But she tied it to purpose. Okay. And she also described what she would do. Perfect. And she was also very specific. I mean, there wasn't any vagueness about her. Okay. She put her career timeline together in 3 sentences that we understood. It started with, had a problem with, applied to law school, want to make a change. This is what I'm going into, and this is why. We got it. Okay. So the story tied in together very, very nicely. All right. Now, if I was in a business conversation with you guys, and actually Carlene and I are asked this a lot, what makes you so good as trainers. And, you know, it could be the results that we achieve for organization. It's the way we engage our participants. You know, if we just said, well, we get, you know, high scores, useless. Okay. So we want to talk about the results that people can make behavior changes to improve their job performance. We can talk about helping organizations meet their goals because their leaders have improved their performance. We can talk about those specifics. So it's not just because we're good. No, we have to talk about results in a way that's relatable, much like Melissa did in a descriptor, not just as in a result. Okay. Number 7, telling a story. People love stories. Okay. And it's not War and Peace. Okay. But it's a story about you. Okay. And maybe, you know, where you came from. And I'll give you an example. So this is years ago, and I will take this story to my grave. So I go around the class, and it's the first class that these individuals are taking. And, you know, I introduce myself, it's safe haven, everything stays here, blah, blah, everything I did with you guys. And so, you know, went around the room, and this one guy kind of hesitated a little bit. And I said, well, you know, tell us what you like. I said, tell us about yourself. And he says, and I said, and if you have a career goal, because these guys are returning to college, this whole class was. So I said, well, you tell us whatever you like. And he says, well, he said, I was incarcerated, and I know how I got to be incarcerated. And I'm here because I want to be in the other side of criminal justice to help kids, to be an advocate for kids so they don't end up like I did. I was in tears. I was in tears. But that was a story that was so captivating and, you know, honestly, super personal. But he connected, you know, all of the things that happened in his life that, you know, unfortunately landed him in prison, and how he never wanted other kids to experience the same thing that he did. And if he could prevent that from happening by being, you know, a child advocate, he was going to do it. There's your story. That's not long, but it was super compelling. Okay. Melissa gave us the same sort of story. It was a snippet of her career, but she connected the dots. Super compelling story. That's why there was 7 of us who wanted to talk to you. Okay. So stories are good, but you got to know, like, how much do I tell? How much do I say? And it's not, you know, 30 minutes later, they're still listening. It's not that. Okay. All right. And when you get further along in networking, it's kind of important, especially when you're talking about results. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go back to the Melissa Well. So, because a so that statement tells people what you're trying to do so that something will change. So Melissa is now in law school, so she can work on laws so that mental health services are delivered more fairly and are improved. Again, paraphrased Melissa, but that idea. So the so that's give people the fact that you have done a lot of critical thinking about direction, right? So any of these guys are really, really important. And again, talk about why you're different, keep it short. You know, a call to action, my friends, is, you know, so Melissa, I really would like to learn more about your background. Do you have any time next week to talk to me? That's a call to action. What do you want? A meeting, a call? I'm going to a networking group next week. Why don't you come with me? A call to action is important. Okay. Because it keeps the conversation going. And it doesn't have to be tomorrow, but it should be in the very short-term future. Okay. And you should make that happen. Okay. Even if it's, Melissa, how about if I call you tomorrow, set up a time? You know, now, if Melissa is looking at me like, I don't think so. And, you know, maybe I might have to ask her, what do you think? So I need something from her that says she wants to talk to me or not. Okay. So you've got to ask first if, you know, what do you think? Should we pursue this conversation further? what if we set up a time? Would you be open to that? You've got to ask for permission to move that conversation forward. And then, say, I'll send you a note tomorrow with some dates and times. Pick what's good for you and we'll set something up. That's the call to action. All right. But the first part is to get permission. And the second part is to set something up. Okay. Because you don't want it to drop. You've worked hard for this to work. Okay. All right. Questions about these 12 steps, guys? Is there anyone that is unfamiliar, unclear, concerning to you in any way?
Jacqueline, did you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. Number one is know your purpose. Do you mean the purpose of being at the networking event? Do you mean your purpose in life? Do you mean your purpose in your current job? Like, what do you mean exactly?
You go, girl. What a great question. Okay. So if you're going to talk to me, what's the purpose of talking to me? Okay. So it might be, I'm interested in changing careers. I'm thinking of training and development. I'd love to hear how you broke into the field. That's the purpose. Okay. I'm looking to get promoted, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of openings in the government. What's happening with the promotion tracks? Okay. So the purpose, Jacqueline, is going to be different for all 6 of us that you're going to talk to. Okay. And so that's what you have to be clear. So if it's networking, why are you going to the event? If you're meeting with me, why do you want to meet with me? If you want to talk to PJ, what kind of information do you think he can provide, as an example? So purpose is going to be the goal of the meeting. Thank you for asking that. It was so good. Appreciate it. Other thoughts, my friends, that might require clarification or an additional example? No? Okay, this is all the backstory, guys. As long as you know the backstory, you'll be able to do your work. All right, so now that you're going to be elevator speech gurus, how do you think preparing an elevator speech can help you? This is a word cloud activity, and so you have to answer using a single word or a hyphenated word, and you can answer as many times as you like. So what are your thoughts? And you have to type in the word, and don't worry about spelling. You have to type in the word in your text and then press send, and you'll see this cloud appear with all of your answers. So how do you think preparing a speech will help you? I think it could be a skill base, it could be a comfort base, it could be anything. What do you think? Yes, I agree. Good. Okay. Yes. Oh, these are good. That didn't come out the way I wanted to. I must not have set it up correctly, but I'm liking it. Oh, you know what? I didn't do cloud. I did a short answer. Okay, good. Creative. Yes. Growth. Excellent. Wonderful, guys. Excellent. Yes. Focused. Oh, love this. Any other ideas? Okay. I just want to go. This is an awesome list. Awesome list. The one I want to just kind of mention is advantage. There you go. Okay. Because this is not easy to do. And when you're prepared, you do have the advantage over others. Okay. You do. You have your purpose. You know what to say. You know what questions to ask. You are ready. And that gives you that huge advantage. Excellent. Because you know what, guys? Let's just use us as an example. There's 7 of us here. I have time to talk to 1. So whoever's the most prepared, whoever is the most interesting thing to say about themselves, not, don't throw me compliments. That's not the issue. I'm going to say, gee, PJ, why don't we set up some time? I'd like to hear more. Because if everybody else is going, and I'm like half asleep listening to you, BJ is the only one that's getting that one slot advantage. Okay, so yeah, standing out is important. Well done, guys. Love it. Good answers. Okay. All right. So this is the last part of this networking conversation. Okay. The follow-up we just talked about. Okay. But the breakaway is, in my mind, so difficult. And I don't want to plant negative thoughts. But, you know, here I am talking to Carly, and we're having a great conversation. But you know what? Going a little slow. I think we've run out of things to say right now, right? Okay. So how do I move on from Carly without insulting her? That's what a breakaway is. Okay. Because I don't go bye-bye and walk away. I don't turn my back. I mean, what do I need to do that is still polite, if you will, but appropriate to break this conversation and move on? Okay. So again, these are just ideas. Okay. It was nice to talk to you. You know, I appreciate, it was a really fun conversation. Gee, there's another person I'd like to meet in the room. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. And if I'm looking at my shoes and I have a horrible tone of voice and I got my cell phone in my hand, that message comes across very differently. Okay. So just, you got to be able to break away. Right. And then you might, Carly has given me some great information. Say, Carly, this nonprofit world sounds really fun. I'd like to know more about it. Do you know anybody in this room that I should approach? So I've just asked her for, a referral to someone else that's in the room. Okay. And I'm going to go. And then, or I'm going to do what I did, as I said on the previous slide. It's like, so PJ, why don't you and I just set it, I'd love to continue this conversation. But I'm sure there's other people you want to talk to, as do I. Remember, you. I'm sure there's other people you want to talk to, as do I. So why don't we set a time maybe later in the week to follow up? How about if I send you a note tomorrow with some dates and times? So that way, I've put it on both of us that we both need to move on. Okay. But I want to follow up with PJ, and I need to follow up with him to set that time. Keep your word. All right. Always say thanks and then move on to the next person. But please don't park yourself with one person, because if you don't break away, they're going to break away. And they might not do it as subtly as I've just suggested that you do. So what do you think, guys? What's the best way for you to break away? How do you move on? What would you do to move on that doesn't insult me, but keeps things moving? What would you do? There's no wrong answer. I just want to know. What are your thoughts?
You could say something, excuse me, I need to meet with someone before they leave. I promise to meet with them before they leave. But I promise I will connect with you, as previously stated.
Wonderful. Yes, I promise someone else. I love that, PJ. Excellent. What other ideas do you have as a breakaway? That's great. Carly, I've got to go to your well because I saw this. So go ahead.
Worst case scenario, you say, oh, I'm sorry, I need to use the restroom.
There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. I really enjoyed talking to you, but I've got to scoot to the restroom. Okay. And there, done. Yes, that's fine.
Whoa.
As long as it's not 5 restrooms.
As long as you do go to the restroom,
yeah,
and don't walk on to somebody else.
Yeah. And it's not like, okay, so you broke away from me and then you met with Jacqueline and you went back to the restroom and then you met with Carlene and went back. No, you get the restroom excuse once. Okay. So use it judiciously. Good. All right. So it has to come from you. What do you think? And that's fine. Okay. And any one of these ideas, plus the ones that PJ and Carly shared. Perfect. All right. But you know, this is part of prep. Like, how am I going to get away from you? And if you don't think about that in advance, you know, it's you're going to get caught short. Okay. All right. Oh, we just did this. That was good. All right. So let's look at the process. Okay. So now we know the backstory. We've done our elevator speech. We know the components. We know why it's important. We know how to break away. Now we're there. Okay. And Jacqueline started us off with a smile. And she's absolutely right. Just put a smile on your face, walk in and say hello. And I don't need to know you, and I don't have to try to, you know, look at your name back. No. Just, you know, look me in the eye and say hello. Okay. And that's important. The one thing that I use, because I usually end up going to these networking meetings where I don't know anyone. And so I usually offer to help. So, you know, and what usually happens is that there's a person sitting at the registration desk alone, and there's a line. It's like, how about if I sit with you? You know, can I help you at least hand out name badges or check people off the list? They're going, you would? All right. So now as I'm sitting at this registration desk and I go, hi, who are you? I now have met Carlene, Jacqueline, Carly, Melissa, PJ, and Amir. And I didn't move.
And you probably also seen what company they're from,
There
and who
you
they are,
go.
what their title is.
There you go. So now I'm like, oh, Carly, I'm so glad that I was working the registration desk because I really wanted to meet you. And now I got to be prepared to talk to Carly. So offering to help is super easy to do and gets you and helps you break that ice because you've already kind of informally met people as they're walking in the door. Okay. You know, if you're passing out programs, passing out handouts, yeah, I know that's not the point of networking, but let me tell you, what happens when you start passing out things, people go, weren't you the one that was passing out those handouts? Yes. I don't remember seeing you before. You know, this is my first meeting. And then they start talking. So, you know, it's that visibility, guys, of just being slightly busy, not intrusive, that gets you comfortable working a room without having to say, hi, Melissa. And hoping that Melissa looks me in the eye and says hello back. Yikes. All right. So there's ways to be involved with it to break the ice for engagement. What do you think about that, guys? What do you think about those, like those icebreakers? And, you know, the last thing is kind of important. I don't care, you know, what group they are. I don't care how many people are there. Most people feel the same way as you. It's like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? I'll tell you that right now. So you got to figure out a way to break the ice. So what do you think? What, you know, which one do you like, or what would you use to break the ice if you're in a networking group that you didn't know?
I might look for somebody who looks uncomfortable, looks as uncomfortable as I feel. Be like, oh my gosh, isn't this so nerve-wracking? Hi, I'm Carly.
Yes. Oh, that's wonderful.
And then you at least know you've got a little leg up on them because you at least had the courage to start the conversation.
Yeah, but you know what? Find someone who looks as uncomfortable as you. Isn't that smart? Or find someone who's standing in the corner because you're in the other corner, okay? And let's say, well, it looks like we're here alone. Why don't we stand together and chat? You know, something that breaks the ice, okay? Oh, Carly, that was excellent. Any other ideas? Because it's all going to be here. It's all going to be that, you know, visual, because you don't know me. So what else could you do to break the ice and kind of?
At a networking event, correct?
Yep.
Just asking people their profession. I will hope everybody there is willing to speak. That's why they showed up to network. So yeah, just that would be a good way just to start the conversation. What do you do for a living? What industry are you in? What company? How is it over there? The management and everything.
Yeah. And, you know, Namir, stay with me for a moment. I was also thinking as you said that, you could use the same idea if you're at a professional organizations meeting. You know, so Namir, have you ever attended this meeting before? And if he says yes, then I'm going to say, you know, so tell me about it. You know, like, what are their topics? You know, what have you learned? You know, why do you keep coming back? And if he says no, then I'm going to say, so what brought you here tonight? Okay, so it can be just that simple. It doesn't have to be, you know, a deep dive. It's just an icebreaker. But Namir, absolutely, if it's a professional organization, you know, that has an array of different professionals here, asking them, you know, what they do and what brought them here is a great idea. Love it. Okay, but you've got to have those icebreakers, my friends, in your back pocket, or else you're going to be looking at your phone or looking at your shoes. Okay, so you've got to think about like who's in that room, and you've got to be able to observe, as Carly said, you know, a person who looks as uncomfortable as you. Wonderful. Okay. Okay, let me move this back. All right, so when you start a conversation, guys, okay, because remember the elevator speech is the introduction. But Jacqueline, oh, this goes back to purpose. Okay, so these are like purpose examples, right? So when you're looking at the goals or purpose, you know, why do you want to talk to me? Okay, and it's ask for help, ask for information, or ask for advice. Okay, it's never I'm looking for a job. Now you can say that, okay, but I'm not sure how to how to apply for jobs online. You know, what's been your experience? Okay, as long as you don't say, are you hiring? No, that's like bad news. Okay, so you can ask for job search advice. You can ask for career advice. You can ask for, you know, gosh, as it's been years since I've written a resume, I don't even know what components I should be including. What do you think? So it's a little career advice and it's a little bit of help. Okay, but these examples, guys, is that kind of purpose statement to get people to understand why you're here and what you're looking for. So knowing your purpose from these examples, then they'll go to tell me about yourself. Okay, so you have to be prepared with both. All right, so the first one, I'm starting a business and I'm looking for resources to help me set up. Great, okay. I'm looking for information on how to manage a project more effectively. And I was hoping you could help me. Now, if you're at a PMI meeting, they're all project managers, so there'll be an array who want to give you advice, okay? Oh, Carly, I forgot your project management. Yeah, so there's an array that's going, I have an idea, right? Okay, I'm looking for someone to help me with a resume. And, you know, I was hoping you could refer me to someone. And then, you know, if Namir had said that to me, I'd say, well, you know, I could probably help you. But he didn't say, what could you do for me? He didn't say, I'm looking for a job. He just said, you know, I'm looking for someone who could help me put together a resume. You know, any suggestions? And I might raise my hand and say, I'll be glad to help you. Okay, so these are really important icebreaker purpose statements. Okay, so guys, and I know this puts a little pressure on you, but I want you to think a bit quickly and give me a statement of purpose. Like when you go to a networking event, I want you to make up one of these for yourself. So what would you be looking for? What kind of information or what kind of advice? And again, you know, when I say networking event, it could be at the water cooler at work for those of us who still go into an office. That's not me. Okay, but it could be if you're in an office, you are casually running into people. It could be, you know, having a casual lunch with someone. So it doesn't have to be just an event, but you have to be prepared to talk about, you know, your aspirations, what you're looking to do. So what do you think, guys? Hey, Melissa, can you, because I kind of thought about this in advance with you.
Mhm.
So let's pretend that you have not worked at a law firm before. Okay. You've just gone through halfway through your second year, and this will be your first internship. Okay. What would you want to know from me, who is an attorney? You're gonna go into an internship, your first one this summer.
Mhm.
I am already practicing law. What would you like to ask me? What would be your purpose of getting together with me?
So for me, I did this last year, actually. So I think I would say that I'm a first generation college student and a first generation law student in my family. So we see everything on TV. Is that what I should expect, or what advice can you offer me?
Isn't that good? Yes. We see on TV, we use social media, but what's a first year internship look like? Yes, good. And so now people are like, oh, well, do you plan on sleeping? Don't. Okay. So, I might start
Basically.
with a little, but that's true, right? Okay. So I might start with a little humor, but I'm going to say, well, here's the type of, and then she could go on and say, well, Marion, what I'm really looking for is like, what kind of work am I going to get involved in? What do they allow me to do? Because I'm not an attorney yet, but what do they allow me to do? What can I learn from this internship? So my friends, what I've done with Melissa, are those questions even relevant, Melissa? The ones I just asked?
Yeah, there were some that I would ask too, like, what is your work-life balance like? Things like that.
There isn't any.
Yeah,
I know.
that's not good.
But you know what? When she gets that kind of an answer from me, then she's going to follow up and say, well, tell me about that. Because if she goes, oh, what does she really learn? I gave her one word. I gave her none. And then she went, oh, she's walking away with nothing. Okay. So she's got to be prepared to ask me, what does none mean? Okay. Or, that's kind of important. What's the workload look like? So it's really important, guys, that you have your questions in your head, that you know your purpose, that you build a couple of questions to move this conversation along, but that you're also listening to what I'm saying and you can ask follow-up. Okay, because those one-word answers from me aren't going to help at all. Okay, all right. So, PJ, why would you want to talk to me? What are you looking for? Okay, give me a purpose that you'd like to talk to me about.
I'm looking for different opportunities to expand within you in your certain field. How can we connect so I can learn more about the things you do, or you can help me learn more about your particular area. Of course, I'll be more specific if
Yeah,
I know like the scenario, but something along those lines.
yeah.
And how can I be assistance to you? Because I think too with like networking, that you don't just want to ask for something, that how can you be beneficial to that person?
That's smart.
Because there's probably a million people in your room who want something from that person. I think what stands you out is how can you assist that person too? What skills do you have, or what level of service or what business that you have that you can help that particular person as well?
Wonderful. Wonderful. PJ, I didn't pull out my notes and I apologize for that. Are you in probation? Or nobody, are you in probation? Who's in probation?
Yeah, yes.
Right, that's what I thought. Okay. So, you might want to talk to me about, I've been in law enforcement, specifically probation, for X number of years. And I'm really looking to do something more different or better. Okay. Where can I take my career? Okay. Now that assumes that you're in a group of law enforcement individuals, okay? But that would be an example of you want to do something, but you're not really sure where to explore, how to explore, what else is out there, and how to get involved, as an example. But yes, you are on the right track. I just put a little meat around it. Well done, PJ. Thanks so much. Good. All right. So guys, this is important. So before you meet with a person for lunch at a networking event, running through the hallway, you've got to be ready with this statement. Okay. Or else people cannot help you. Okay. Because you're like, well, I don't really know what I need, but you look like a nice person. Can we talk? No. Okay. So really important. This one has to be top of mind. And you're going to have, my friends, like a grab bag of information. You know, it's not only one. Okay. Because, you know, PJ is going to talk to me about, you know, other opportunities in law enforcement. He might talk to Melissa on, you know, why she decided to go to law school, because he's thinking about that. All right. So there's different reasons, but he's got to have one of these statements based on the type of people and conversations he's going to have. Is that clear, guys, or is that a little fuzzy? Does that sort of make sense to you? I'd love to tell you there's one can thing you can do and it'll work. No, you got to be prepared. All right. Okay. So let me see. So these are the steps to effective networking. And there's really only two. There's three that I want to talk about. And PJ, we're going to talk about the sneakers in a moment. Okay. All right. So the greeting. Look me in the eye, not dead stare. Okay. But look me in the eye and offer to shake my hand. And, you know, I did that actually the other day. And but before I did, I said, do you shake hands? And it's not because I was unwilling. I don't know if this person was interested, because people are still kind of phobic about COVID, and I get it. So just ask and then extend and smile. Okay. The tell ask is important. Okay. So let me go back and demonstrate. Okay. I'm starting a business and I'm looking for resources that could help me set up this business. Since you already have a small business, who would you suggest I talk to? What resources should I look into? That's the tell ask, guys. It's always a lead statement, short, followed by an ask. And then another lead statement, followed by an ask. It's always that flow of information. Okay, always that flow of information. And then the third piece, my friends, is learn how to interview, because that's what this is all about. It's not that you're peppering me with questions, but you need to have 3 to 5 questions ready for a discussion, and you're interviewing me. Okay, you know, what's my background? How did I get into law enforcement? Why did I decide to make the career changes I did? How did I do it? There's 4. So, you know, and you're thinking, wow, oh wow, this gives me some good information. So it's not just interview questions for interview's sake, but it's like, I want to make sure in the 5-10 minutes I'm talking to Marion, I ask her what I need to know that will help me. And then, as PJ said, and I'm going to make an offer to her at the end if I can help her. Okay, that's really good. All right, and then the fourth one, PJ, I asked PJ before class to weigh in on this one, is look for commonalities. And commonalities, guys, are, you know, whenever someone says something, listen, because you're looking for a place to say, me too. Okay, you're looking for common interests, ways to break the ice, to improve the flow of a conversation, kind of loosen people up so they'll talk to you. So PJ, can you talk to us about the sneakers situation from last week? Because this is such a great story.
Yes. So the assignment was to meet with someone from a different culture other than yours. I met with someone who was Hispanic. They spoke English, but we really never had. I had some rapport with this person, but we never really had a kind of like meaningful conversation. And this particular day, well, I met with this person and I mentioned to them like, yo, I noticed your sneakers. And he always had sneakers, like nice sneakers. And I mentioned it. And, his whole facial expression had changed. And it was really kind of a connection. He had like nice sneakers. I'm not a sneakerhead. I'm into, sneakers and fashion and all that. But I won't consider myself a sneakerhead, but I think this person was. And I asked him where he got the sneakers from. And, then we connected on that level when it came to that. So I think sometimes like in a network, in a more professional setting, if you do see something about somebody as far as connecting or trying to connect or trying to find some common ground, I think that picking out something that someone wearing or maybe, someone that they're drinking or eating or whatever to kind of build that connection. And it kind of breaks the ice a little bit. Cause kind of after that, our conversation was a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more meaningful because I mentioned that it was something close, near and dear to him. And even though we had a little bit of a language barrier, we're able to connect on that because I showed appreciation for something that he had and he enjoyed in the fact that I showed appreciation.
There you go. Brilliant. So I asked PJ to share that story because even though he was doing, the cultural context in that conversation, when it comes to, yep, no, yes, that conversation's not going anyplace, right? So, good for him. He picked up on, these really cool sneakers. So it doesn't matter that you may not be the sneakerhead, as PJ said. But if it's something near and dear to this person and you can get them to talk about it, friend for life. Okay. So you have to think about those commonalities, either that you like about them, share with them. Okay. So, all right. What do you think we have in common? Throw something out. Just anybody throw something out and Carlene and I, or one of you guys is going to respond. So throw something out about yourself. And we're going to play through this. I don't care what you say.
I'm a board game geek.
Sorry?
I'm a board game geek.
Really?
Oh, total.
So like, are they online board games or are they like real life board games?
Yes, both.
Both. Oh my God, because in training, I like to use board games to, test people's knowledge. I need to talk about how you do this. Okay. Now, that's about as obscure as you can get. Would you know?
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. All right. But you've got to say, all right, please don't say, oh, I like board games too. Right. So anybody want to ask Carly a question about the board games?
So
Yeah.
I'll jump in. Carly, when I heard about the board games, the first thing I went through was all the board games I grew up with, like Candyland and Monopoly and Risk. And then it was like Crimes Against Humanity. I wonder if you knew about Crimes Against Humanity. So my answer would have been me too. These are the 5 games that I've just played my entire life.
Fantastic.
Yeah, good. There you go. So now it's like there's a connection. Okay, Carly's like, oh, they didn't think it was stupid. No, we didn't. Okay.
I've learned to just embrace it.
Yeah, but that's how you kind of, pull people in. It's kind of like the sneakers idea. All right. Melissa, tell us something that we could think about and do a Me Too with. Anything at all.
I play professional cornhole.
Really?
Yes.
How did you get into that?
I used to live in Myrtle Beach, and that's about the only thing to do down there. So
And you play competitively?
Yeah, I've been on TV. A lot of my friends are like on ESPN a lot.
I better
Wow.
get your autograph now.
And I was gonna say, and I was on Bozo Circus, so I was on TV.
But you know what? Here we go. So Melissa, it's like, I don't want to say that. Okay. But, I was kind of impressed that like professional, huh? And then, you make a little joke. Like, I better get your autograph now before it's going to cost me money. And so now we laugh. And then, as PJ said, we have broken the ice. We've made a connection. I appreciated her sport. And now we're going to talk a little bit about law school. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Amir, throw out something for us to consider. Anything at all.
Anything?
Yep.
Hmm.
PJ, you're going to throw out one too. So think about something that you want to throw out.
Anything, period, basically.
Yeah.
I used to swim when I was younger. I made a team.
Really?
Yeah, then I quit though. I didn't want to do it, but I was forced to try out and I made it. And then I just quit because I just was young and dumb and I ain't want to do nothing.
What was your favorite stroke?
Breaststroke.
Oh my God, so hard. I mean, I could barely do 5 strokes with that before I'm like out of breath.
And the butterfly, I could never do that. I could never do butterfly at all. And then backstroke, I was always crooked, but freestyle and breaststroke was perfect.
Oh wow, so cool. I'm surprised you gave it up.
I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, but you know what? Me too. We all think differently when we're kids and then we have regrets later on. So there's like an obscure me too. Excellent. Love it. DJ, bring us home, my friend. You got one you want to throw out to us? And, Carlene and I shouldn't be the only ones reacting. Go ahead.
I noticed that you have a small business. I'm interested in having a small business as well. Can you share with me some of the challenges that you had when starting yours?
Wow. Yeah. Excellent. Okay. So, when you're looking at, well, boy, that was many years ago. So, and then I would respond. And, and then he's going to go, he's probably going to think in his mind, holy crap, is she kidding? But, it'll be a story that he'll remember because, you start out fast, you think it's going to go, the bubble bursts, and then, oh my God, he would remember that cycle. Okay. So PJ, that was so good. That's what you want to talk about. You got to look for the Me Too's, even when they're obscure. Okay. So PJ gave us a direct one. Perfect. Me too. Okay. The other 3, I didn't have an exact Me Too, but I had an appreciation. Carlene had a Me Too for 2 of you. So that's what we're talking about, are those commonalities. You got to make sure that there's an icebreaker that you like that. Me too. That's the point. Okay. Draws people in. All right. Let's move on. Okay. So key points, my friends. Just let me do a time check. Oh, good. All right. So these are, like a wrap up key points, my friends. Okay. Always, when you make this statement, when you make one of these purpose statements, okay, remember, that's your tell. It'd be nice if I went in the right direction. Sorry about that. What's your ask? Can you help me? That's exactly what PJ just did. I know you started up a small business. I'd like to start up a small business. Can you help me? Now, that's a poor question, but his was, can you offer me advice? Can you tell me your story? Can you, whatever the question is. Easy question, all right? Always remember, most people, and this is a fallacy, guys, that most people think about it. Now, you guys have been exceptional. So I can't say always anymore, but most often people think networking is, let me tell you everything about myself. No. Okay. It's a purpose. It's short tells, lots of asks. Short tells, lots of asks. Okay. You shouldn't be there going, let me tell you one of the best things since sliced bread. I'm going to tell you all about my current job. No. Okay. Tell, then ask. All right. Next piece. Listen. And I'm going to add another one, and observe. Okay. What am I saying? What do I look like? What kind of a connection can you make? And that's really important. Listening is your friend in networking. And again, most people think it's telling people everything they can about themselves, and it's just the opposite. It's listening for information and making connections. Okay, listening and making connections. All right. And we just practiced those. They were kind of fun, Me Too opportunities. And then, tell when asked. So, I played that through with Melissa, like, how did you, why was law school the way to go? Why do you think you can change the laws? Okay. And it doesn't matter that it's a lofty dream for the future. She has a vision to do that, but she doesn't have to tell me all of that at the beginning. So be prepared to answer the questions when you're asked with good, solid examples and information. All right. Questions, my friends? Okay. This is a quickie last one. This is really kind of fun. I think you all know this, but let's pretend you don't. So you want to think about, where your network is. And honestly, your network is anybody who knows your name. I think I'm going to break into cheers in a moment. But anyway, it's anybody who knows your name can be part of your network. And it was really funny, guys, because I love telling this story about friends, family, business associates. So years ago, I was working on a career transition project for a company that had closed in York, Pennsylvania. And so, when I was talking to the guys about networking, one of them, comes in the next day and they says, or a week later, and they said, "You're not going to believe this. I got a job lead." And I said, "Did you really?" I mean, this is a person who wouldn't network to save his life. And so I said, "Well, like, how'd you do that?" This is pretty obscure, but this is the power of connections. So he's home that night talking to his family. His kid was in 3rd grade. She goes into school the next day and her friend talks to her friend. Her friend says, "You look sad. My daddy lost his job." And so, so they comfort each other. The little friend goes home that night and the mother says, "So how was school?" "Oh, it was very sad. So my friend's dad lost his job." And she said that in front of her father who was working. And the father called the dad the next day and said, "So I hear you lost your job. Tell me about yourself." And 2 weeks later, he was hired. So there is no such thing as like, what would they know? Who would they know? They're not like me. No. Okay. If people are willing to talk to you, you got to be willing to talk to them and you got to be prepared. Okay. Because sometimes the story that I share, the connection I try to make with you, gives you some thought for other ideas. Okay. So that's important. Everyone is fair game. It doesn't have to be just a large networking meeting. Okay. And then the lower part, guys, is really expanding your network. Okay. Think about, and so most of you are Newman graduates. You should be in the career services office if you are in the least bit looking for a job, just to get registered with them and find out about the services. Find out how to use the alumni network for you, to your advantage, to help you change jobs, to help you expand your career, etc. So alumni services in most schools are quite good at this because they know this is what's necessary. When I was in school, there was no such thing. Here, fill out an application. No, thank God that's changed. So, alumni services can really help you if you're in that time of transition. Okay. So that, and like I said, if you're unsure of any professional organizations that are in your area, now I know, Melissa, you're not in our geographic area, but if you guys in the Philadelphia area are looking for you know, some professional organization, you know, to network with, just Google it. And you'll be surprised. Carly, you know that PMI is down in Delaware County, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who knew? I mean, the premier project management organization is in our backyard.
Yes.
Like, who would think?
And PMI just went total remote. So they're-
Wow.
They're no longer using the Newtown Square campus anymore. Total 100% remote.
Nice.
That was networking information, Carly. And again, guys, look at how that, you know, we shared that information. It really came about organically. You know, it was a mention Carlene built. Now Carly has some new information. That was what, 10 seconds? So you just have to be in tune. You got to remember people. You got to remember their backgrounds. You got to be in tune to them and make sure you can engage. Okay. All right, my friends, what questions do you have for either me or Carlene? This is definitely, this explains the process, but now you got to go do it. Okay. You have got to get prepared to make this happen. So what questions do you have, my friends? Anything at all we can clarify or answer for you? No? Okay, so you got a written assignment, you got discussion activities. This is no big surprise, right? And as I showed you at the beginning of class, the written assignment is to prepare the tell me about yourself response, the description of who you are, much like Melissa shared with us tonight. So Melissa, you're done. You just got to write it down and submit that, okay? And the second one. And then you're going to create a scenario. There's 3 scenarios and you have to create questions that you could ask people based on the scenario. Okay, so they're relatable scenarios, but you're going to see that your questions will change based on who you're talking to, where you are, and what you're trying to learn. Okay, but we've provided some backstory to do that. All right, no questions? All right, feedback. How do we do? I need you to tell me.
Carly's got a thumbs up.
Oh, I missed that. Thank you, Carly. Wait, thank you.
Okay, PJ's got a thumbs up. Melissa says yes.
Okay, all right, so it was okay.
And
Any
Jacqueline-
suggestions? No? All right, so this is Networking 101, broken down by process. If you follow the process, it will work. If you're already networking, and I'm thinking Namir as an example, okay, then use this process, Namir, to double check that you're on point. And because you, like maybe you missed a step, it's like, oh, got to go back and add that as an example. So even if it hasn't taught you like brand new things, use the process as an audit to make sure that you are on point and that you're prepared for conversations. Okay. All right, my friends, it's been a blast. I can't believe it's 7 o'clock already. Yikes. Have a great night and a great week. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks so much for your time, guys. It's been a blast.
Bye, guys.
Thanks,
Good night, all.
everyone.
I had one question.
Good night.
For everybody.